Chapter 16. Millie frowned at the sick woman. Your sister has the rust? Hammond's face hardened. Do you know what the masters do for students that catch the rust? What they did to her? Did they even look for a cure? A way to reverse the disease? No, they send students to sick houses. I read a book about the first cases of the sickness and the attempted remedies, Gil said carefully. According to the book, burn your books, Hammond shouted. You're always reading, always mumbling your clever little lines from some book. Can any of your books heal my sister? Hammond's gaze was hot with anger and desperation. Yeah? Well, it's a good thing I found my own book. He gripped the blue book tighter. Those spells are dangerous, even for the masters, Millie said. You'll hurt her or all of us. She'll be gone within a week if I don't do something. This is my last chance. His voice broke on the last words, and for the first time Gil noticed another book on the bedside table. The Heart Scale Tale. Beside it lay a chipped mortar and pestle, crushed mint still visible in the bowl, one of the old remedies Gil had recommended from the story. Potions and chipped bottles lined the nearby shelf, a dozen failed tries. You've been trying to save her all year, Gil said. Of course. I knew if I told you both about Madeline you would leave me, probably report me to the masters and I'd be expelled, maybe thrown in the house. Too scared of the sickness. He touched her hand, and Millie drew a sharp breath. I'm not. Leave me and let me save my sister, or I'll make you. Silence hung. Gil stood, rooted in place in thought. Hammond had made some terrible choices, but it had been for Madeline's sake. What would Gil have done? Could they really leave Hammond with the blue book? They could hardly pry it from his hands, which had touched Madeline. He could have the rust now. Thoughts tangled themselves in Gil's mind. Hammond, Gil, Rhea, Millie, and Ash stood as statues, each battling the same unanswerable questions. Each second that passed seemed to weigh on Hammond like a stone. He grimaced, and his hand darted toward the blue book. Gil acted on instinct. He took 3 strides forward and embraced Hammond. We won't leave you. Hammond tensed. For several moments he stood frozen. Then slowly he hugged Gil. You're not afraid? Of many things, Gil said, but not my friends. They clapped each other on the back. Hammond managed a smile. Is that from a book? They laughed and stepped apart. Gil smoothed his cloak and let his hands fall to his side. Gil! Millie's worried voice wiped the smile from Gil's face, and he looked at her. Your hand, it's almost touching. Before Gil could react, Rhea raced across the room and yanked his hand away from Madeline's curled palm. She pulled him a full step from the bed and held on to his arm as though it might wander into danger if left unattended. Are you okay? Rhea asked. Gil found his mouth dry, though not from the near brush with Madeline. Good as grass. Madeline coughed weakly. Hammond took her hand again and sank into his chair. Can you hear me, Madeline? It's Hammond. I'm going to help you soon. Just rest a little longer. That's it. Her breathing evened out, although it seemed shallower than just a few minutes ago. Hammond looked between them uncertainly. His voice wavered. This is my last try with her. Nothing has worked so far, but there has to be a spell in here that could save her. What else is magic for? He opened the blue book again and rifled through pages. There has to be a spell, something to break the iron's hold on her. Maybe just hold the sickness at bay, or... Gil lost the rest of Hammond's words. Hold the sickness at bay. The rust. If his theory were true, he could help. If he were wrong... Madeline stirred uncomfortably, but the quilt seemed too heavy for her to move. She stilled and sank into the bed, breaths weak and thin. This is too dangerous, Millie said. I ran out of safe options months ago. If you don't have any better ideas, leave before I cast the spell. Gil felt the smooth lump in his cloak. I do, actually. Hammond looked at him. Gil drew the dragon scale, winter green, gray, in the darkness. Hammond squinted. Is that the sigil? The yew tree gave it to me. Why would it do that? Gil looked at Madeline. I think I know why. You don't mean to use it in a potion like the heart scale tail? Millie asked. I'd probably blow the roof off, Gil said. Tonight, though, we only need the scale's inherent magic. He offered it to Hammond. You think this will help her? I do. Hammond reached for it, but Millie stopped him. Dragon scales and iron do not mix with magic. Everybody knows this. They don't mix with each other either, Gil said. If you had seen the mist retreat when the dragon attacked, you'd understand. The dragon scale will push the rust back as well. Hammond took the scale. You must be sure. This is my sister's life. If he were wrong, Madeline could die. Would die. Did he really think he'd shed light on a mystery at the heart of magic, one masters and scholars had puzzled over for centuries? He was only just learning the rules of alchemy. Surely Master Wicks had already theorized the relationship between iron and dragon scales, tested it. But the master himself had cautioned students from ever brewing a potion with iron or dragon scales. But not both, Gil remembered. A double negative. Trust yourself, Rhea whispered. We do. Gil handed over the dragon scale. It will work. Hammond swallowed hard and traded the blue book for the scale. He placed the scale in Madeline's hand. For one terrible moment, Madeline stilled, and her raspy breathing stopped. Then there was a slow, clear inhale, and Gil realized her breathing had not stopped, but changed. The rattle was gone, replaced by steady, easy breaths. Hammond laughed and wrapped them all, Ash included, in a hug. Gil's own grin felt wide as a cauldron. A door banged open downstairs. Boots slapped against floorboards as someone raced across the room and downstairs. An old woman's voice wavered up through the floorboards. Back already? The boots stopped. Busy night. I've got to head back to school now. The voice was a boy's, still familiar through 2 floors of planking. It's Wilkes, Gil hissed, his excitement fading as quickly as it had come. Can't be. You should be at Hazeltop, Millie said. Hammond grimaced. So should we. Why is he here? Let's see, Millie whispered, and slipped down the staircase with Ash. Rhea and Gil followed, but Hammond seemed frozen, watching Madeline. She'll be okay, Gil said. Come on, let's get back to Hazeltop. Hammond's face was bright. He had dared to hope, and Madeline fanned that hope with another deep breath. Hammond shut her door and eased down the stairs with Gil and Rhea. Isn't it late for all this activity, dear? What could Master Drayborn need at this hour? The old woman said from the basement. Just a few ingredients for the pot, Wilkes said. The woman clucked. By my bones, there's no need to race away on account of soup. Nobody likes it much anyway. Now, how was that dance? There was a pause. I didn't go. Well, why not? You've told me all about that girl you're sweet on. Not anymore. She isn't. Wilkes chomped down on the words. She's different than me. That's all. You understand, don't you? Everyone's different, part of the game, dear. It's too late now. You know I've had a hard time with class. So did I when I was your age. I expect it's why I'm a nurse, not an alchemist. Well, Wilkes said, and there was a note of worry in his voice. I won't be going back to Hazeltop next term. The tone struck Gil as strange. Wilkes despised classes. Then he realized the truth. Wokus was worried what this woman would think of him for leaving. Gil reached the main floor with the others, careful to avoid the doorway leading down to the basement. A weak sniffling came up the stairway. "Oh my, come here, my dear. A hug is worth more than any potion. Easy now." Wokus's sniffling quieted, and he cleared his throat. "Just had to tell you. You'll be okay here, won't you?" "I'm more concerned with how you'll do," the woman said gently. "You know, I want you to stay. You've proven yourself a good help and a better friend these last months. You care about these patients. You see how they brighten when you bring them food or a story. Do you want to be a nurse or a cook?" Gil risked peeking around the doorway. Wokus stood far below at the basement's landing. He carried a lumpy burlap sack. He was wavering, looking into the old woman's room. "Master Draborn isn't training me to be a cook. I have to go. I hope I'll see you again and thank you for everything. I won't forget what you've taught me here, Graham." Gil pulled back, afraid Wokus was going to climb the stairs and exit the front door, but the footsteps below sounded as though they were striking deeper into the basement. A latch clicked. A door closed. The woman groaned and wood popped as she sank back into what must have been a rocker. Where's Wokus gone?" Millie whispered. "Hazeltop. He said so himself," Hammond said. They all spoke at once. "How?" Gil's mind worked. "There's some passage leading out of the basement down there. Either it opens in Slater's Pass." "Can't. We saw all the stairways from the alley. This building didn't have one," Hammond said. "Or it leads somewhere else, somewhere deeper, closer to Hazeltop," Gil finished. "He's not going back to make soup," Rhea said. "Master Draborn is behind all of this, and Wokus is doing his dirty work." Hammond raised an eyebrow. "The master of food? You think Draborn is controlling the mist? He doesn't even understand magic." "Exactly," Rhea said. "Then we need to follow Wokus," Millie said. Gil stepped beside Rhea. "She's right. You two missed the snowball, but the food never arrived. No servers, no carts. I assumed the mist stopped them." "It's settled," Hammond said. "We follow Wokus." They descended the stairs. Hammond led, hugging the wall and moving with slow, smooth feet. Gil didn't realize why until he stepped squarely onto the center of the stair and it gave a horrible squeak. He froze, but the old woman made no sound. Gil shuffled over to the wall and descended the remaining steps. Hammond, Millie, Ash, and Rhea passed the woman's doorway and headed deeper into the hallway. Gil spared a glance as he passed. She was asleep in her rocking chair, hands folded beneath a patchwork quilt. A cane leaned against her chair, which faced a smoldering fireplace. She seemed a kind lady, though weary. Gil moved on and found the others huddled around an old door. "This must be it," Rhea whispered. Gil nodded and they opened it. The smell of soil and roots greeted them. A passage of rich, trampled dirt stretched into darkness. Gil drew a glower from his belt and shook it. Green bloomed to life, and they stepped into the tunnel. The passage was unerringly straight. They walked for several minutes before the tunnel began to ascend, first slowly and then steeply. Each ascending step further convinced Gil they were climbing within a hill. There was only one hill it could be. Before long, a faint light illuminated the end of the passage. The light was orange and red, ordinary torchlight by the looks of it. A breeze washed down the tunnel, carrying onion and cider. "We're below the flask, in the cellar," Gil said.